Okay, so let's just jump right in. What if you could live forever? Not as a ghost or some spirit, but as a perfect digital copy of your mind running on a computer. Now, this might sound like pure science fiction, but the race to upload human consciousness? It's very, very real. So that leads to the big question we're tackling today. Are we on the verge of digital immortality, or are we just inventing a really high-tech way to die?
You know, this dream of living forever, it's not new. It's probably one of the oldest stories we've ever told ourselves. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Epic of Gilgamesh, where a king literally tries to conquer death, to all the legends about a fountain of youth. We have always been obsessed with cheating the end.
But today, the quest is totally different. We're not talking about magic or mythology. We're talking nanobots, supercomputers, and brain scanning. And this isn't some far-off dream either. There are projects happening right now, trying to map the brain in such insane detail that one day, maybe, we could just flip a switch and bring a mind to life inside a machine.
And this whole idea, it just forces us to face two absolutely colossal questions. First, what exactly are we even trying to copy? I mean, what is a mind? And maybe the big one, if we actually pull it off, is that digital being waking up on a server? Is it still you? Or is it just a perfect imitation that only thinks it's you?
So to even get a handle on this, we can't start with the technology. No, we have to start with the thing we're trying to save in the first place, that private, internal universe you're living in this very second. We have to talk about consciousness.
Okay, so look at this image. Really look at it. It's one of those old-school stereograms. If you kind of relax your eyes, let them go a little unfocused, you might see a 3D image of a brain just pop out. Now, here's the crazy part. That 3D brain isn't physically there on the screen, right? It's being built entirely inside your mind. And that is a perfect metaphor for what we're talking about. Your inner world is so much more than just the raw data your eyes are seeing.
Yeah, scientists and philosophers have a name for this. They call it your bubble of experience. And it's everything. It's the world of colors, sounds, feelings, smells. It is your entire reality. And the key thing is, it only exists for you, inside your head. And this is where things get really, really weird. Just look at the gap between what we experience and what the physical world actually is. You feel warmth on your skin, right? But physics just calls that infrared radiation. You smell that amazing aroma of coffee? To physics, that's just a bunch of airborne molecules. You see a vibrant, beautiful red? Nope, that's just a 700 nanometer light wave hitting your eye. The universe itself is completely colorless, silent, and has no smell. So your brain, it's the ultimate translator. It's the thing that does all the work. You can see in this diagram, it takes all these raw, frankly meaningless physical signals from the outside world, and it turns them into the rich, subjective reality you actually live in. And this is so crucial. We never, ever experience the world directly. We only ever experience our brain's model of the world. And hey, this isn't some brand new sci-fi idea. Way back in the 17th century, Galileo totally got this. He basically said, if you took away all living creatures, all conscious minds, the whole world of color, taste, and smell would just, poof, vanish with them. All you'd have left is a universe of silent, colorless matter. So that is the thing we're trying to upload. Okay, so if that's our goal, to save that rich, internal bubble of experience, that brings us to the first massive hurdle, the blueprint. I mean, how on earth could you possibly capture something so personal, so intangible, and stick it on a hard drive? Well, the leading idea is something called whole brain emulation, or WBE for short. And the goal here isn't just to make a chatbot that sounds like you. No way. The goal is to build a complete, one-to-one, functional, computational model of an actual human brain. Every neuron, every single connection. And this is a task of almost unimaginable difficulty. It basically breaks down into 3 huge steps. First, you've got scanning. We're talking about creating a 3D map of the brain so detailed you can see every single one of its 86 billion neurons and their trillions of connections. Next, translation. You have to take that static map and somehow turn it into a working model that knows how all those neurons fire and talk to each other. And finally, simulation. You need a supercomputer powerful enough to actually run that massive program and simulate an entire human brain in real time. Just wow.
But let's just pretend for a second. Let's say we do it. We solve all of that. We build the scanner, we write the code, we fire up the supercomputer, we flip the switch. Now we're face to face with a really deep, kind of spooky philosophical mystery. The ghost in the machine. Would that simulation actually be conscious?
I mean, think about it. Just because a program acts conscious, it talks about its feelings, it says it's aware, does that really truly guarantee there's an actual inner bubble of experience on the inside? Or is it just a ridiculously complex puppet, an empty shell that's just perfectly mimicking consciousness without feeling a single thing? This, right here, is what they call the hard problem of consciousness.
The philosopher John Searle famously argued against this whole idea. His point, basically, is that a computer program is just shuffling symbols around, ones and zeros. But a biological brain, he said, has these special physical causal powers that actually create the feeling of consciousness. He'd say a simulation of a rainstorm won't make the server room wet, and a simulation of a brain, well, it won't actually think.
But of course, there's a powerful counterargument. It's called the system's reply, and it says, look, consciousness isn't in any one single part. It's an emergent property of the whole system working together. I mean, a single one of your neurons isn't conscious, right? But you get 86 billion of them firing in just the right pattern, and suddenly you get a mind. And proponents of this view argue that the same thing would be true for the simulation.
All right, let's keep going down this rabbit hole. Let's just grant that the upload is conscious. That brings us to what might be the most personal, the most gut-wrenching question of them all. Even if it's a conscious person, is that person you? To get our heads around this, let's use a classic sci-fi paradox that hits the nail on the head. The teleporter. Imagine a machine that scans your body, vaporizes it, and then reassembles a perfect atom-for-atom copy of you on Mars. The question is, would you step inside? Does your consciousness actually move to the new body? Or do you just die and get replaced by a clone who has all your memories and doesn't know the difference? Mind uploading is the exact same paradox, but it comes in two flavors. You've got destructive uploading, where your physical brain is scanned and destroyed in the process. Then there's non-destructive uploading, where they scan you, but your brain is left totally fine. You wake up from the procedure as normal, but now there's also a digital version of you running on a server somewhere.
And here's the real kicker. In that non-destructive case, you are still here. You're in your original body, thinking your own thoughts, feeling your own feelings. So how could the copy also be you? It seems pretty obvious it's just a duplicate, right? A clone with all your memories that just thinks it's you? And if that's true for the non-destructive copy, then why would it be any different for the destructive one?
But hold on, there's a really mind-bending counter-argument to this. Futurist Ray Kurzweil points out something fascinating. The actual atoms in your body are constantly being replaced. You are literally not made of the same physical stuff you were a few years ago. So what is it that persists? He argues it's the pattern, the information. If your identity is just the pattern of your mind, then maybe just copying that pattern is all that matters for survival.
Whew. Okay, let's just put a pin in that identity crisis for a moment and take a giant leap of faith. Let's just assume it's possible. The uploads are conscious, and it is still you. What would that future even look like? The consequences are just staggering to think about.
Yeah, the economist Robin Hanson has explored this in detail, calling it the Age of M. In this world, minds could live in these spectacular virtual realities that we can't even imagine. Or they could run at super speed, experiencing a whole century in what feels like a minute to us. You could create temporary copies of yourself, he calls them spurs, to go do a job for a day and then just delete them. And this opens up a whole new can of worms. Ethically, do these digital minds have rights? Is deleting a copy murder?
Which brings us all the way back to the final and maybe the most important question. You are given the choice: digital immortality. A version of you can live forever, and your friends and family can talk to it. But to get it, you have to accept that you might just be creating a copy, and your own personal stream of consciousness will just stop. So the question is, would you press the button?